Hi guys, Standard 5. Today I am teaching you lesson number 11. Memories are made of buttermilk. Now this lesson was written by the author Shobha Narayan, who is an author from Kerala. She writes about different subjects like music, craft, food, travel, art, dance, and so on and so forth. Now, today's lesson, memories are made of buttermilk. In this, it brings back sweet memories. If you turn to your parents and ask them to recall memories of their childhood days, they will have a lot to say on how they spent their childhood days and what are the things that still remain in their memory. Here in this story, Shobha Narayan, the author, remembers her childhood memories. She tells us that when she was around 5 or 6 years old, she suddenly happened to hear a swishing sound in the kitchen. So when she went towards the kitchen, there she found her grandmother sitting on the floor with her legs spread out and her back resting against the wall. But when she went there, she found that uh, in between the legs or the knees of the grandmother, there was a heavy mud pot. And in the mud pot was a butter churner or a long wooden piece. And in the wooden pot, you'll find there was yogurt that was collected for a number of days that was put in the pot. And the swishing sound was the turning and twisting of the rope that was tied to the mattu or the butter churner, and each time the grandmother pulled the rope from one side or the other side, the wooden mattu turned and made the swishing sound when it turned around in the yogurt. As soon as the grandmother saw Shobha entering into the kitchen, she smiled. She gave a beautiful smile. And you know, grandmothers, they look very pretty. They'll have wrinkles on their face or lines coming over. Their skin will be soft. But still, she kept on busy churning the butter by holding the two ends of the rope and pulling it from each side back and forth in a beautiful rhythmic way. And as soon as Shobha entered in, she slowly slipped under the arms of the grandmother and went and sat in between her legs without disturbing her, and then held on to the rope and continued helping the grandmother by pulling the rope. As Shobha sat in between close to the grandmother, she felt the arms of her grandmother touching her. She could feel the breath of the grandmother on her neck, and she said she could feel the soft skin on the stomach touching her, and she felt so secure and safe and comfortable in the arms of her grandmother. It's really a very beautiful relationship that a grandchild and a grandmother can have. So she said they continued doing this churning for minutes, and after some time they found that lumps of butter started floating on top of the buttermilk. As soon as the lumps of butter appeared on the top part of the buttermilk, grandmother took those made small balls of the butter and took it out and put it into a bowl in which there was water. She took on all the butter which was floating on top and made small balls and put it into the floating on the water in the next pot. And Shobha says, when I looked at the butter floating around, small butters, it reminded her of the planets that she studied or that she drew in her geography book. As the last ball was being made, the grandmother just told Shobha, open your mouth, and she takes a ball of butter and puts it into Shobha's mouth. And Shobha relishes it and says that even till today she remembers it. It had the saltiness from the grandmother's hand. It had the sourness of the yogurt cream. It had the sweetness of the cow's milk. All together it was so delicious, she said, because it was fresh butter that was taken out by her grandmother. 10 years later, when Shobha went to visit her grandmother, she found that the grandmother was taking out the butter but in a very, very easy way. And how was that? It was by just collecting the yogurt, putting it into a mixie, putting cold ice water into the mixie, and then switching on the mixie, and after some time you'll find bubbles, and again switching it on, and you'll find the lumps of butter coming up. Again she said that even the butter that came out with the help of the mixie also tasted like buttery heaven, she said. Every part of India uses buttermilk. In Kerala, they just use curry leaves and they drink it like as though it is some grand festival. They drink this buttermilk. In Tamil Nadu, in Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka, buttermilk they make with the help of green chilies, ginger, curry leaves, salt. All of that is added together in the buttermilk, and they drink it, and it is called as majige, or it is called as neermor. In North India, they grind the jeera, they put a little salt, lemon juice, they put a little pudina, and that is called as chas in North India. This watery, delicious and light drink is excellent for digestion and cooling the body. Punjab especially, is very famous for lassis. They have varieties of lassis. If mango is added, it is called mango lassi. In West Bengal, this buttermilk is done with sweet, as a sweet dish, and it's called as misti dahi. Now anybody can have this. You cannot say it is a rich man's drink or a poor man's drink. Everybody, let it be rich or poor, enjoys this drink. And the author says that she remembers a lady who used to have a push cart, and on the push cart she used to have this buttermilk, and she used to supply this buttermilk to the auto drivers, bicycle messengers, and it makes the day really cool by drinking buttermilk. The author says that if she was given a chance, she would love to again enjoy the grandmother's buttermilk, but then she says her grandmother is no longer living. But the author says that she still has the butter churner, or the wood piece that her grandmother used to churn to get butter in the olden way, in the earlier days. And she wishes that she could take an earthen pot and bring out the butter churner and do it the way her grandmother did it. But then she says she feels like setting it up today just to bring back memories of how her grandmother did the buttermilk. That's all in this story about buttermilk.